We've heard Mahir and the Automation Anywhere team talk about not only where we're going as an industry, but where Automation Anywhere is going, which was very exciting to me. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today, as Gary said, about everything old is new again. And if I did this right in the next 13 to 15 minutes in conversation, you'll understand what that means, because you're probably all thinking that's an interesting title right now. I'm going to walk through some themes and frameworks that KeyBank has used over roughly the last 5 to 10 years. I'm going to talk a little bit about why we use those frameworks. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, did I think if they were successful or not. So as we go in, I first want you to read the tagline, and I want to seed this question. Have the tech advances, or are the tech advances that we have now enabling us to reach our objectives, to reach them differently, to reach them more effectively than they have in the past? You heard a little bit about what Mahir said earlier. He may have gave the answer away slightly. But that's the thing that I've been thinking about probably for really the last 8 to 12 months is tech has just continued to go faster and faster. And at KeyBank, we've been on a 5-year hyper-automation journey. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. So as we jump in, I want to get to our first framework. Straight-through processing. By raise of hands, how many have tried to get end-to-end processes or straight-through processing within their company? Okay, keep your hand up high if you've successfully achieved that. Kind of cheating me here. I had to put my hand down, and I'll talk a little bit about why. And I saw most of you in the audience do the same as well. Straight-through processing is a great framework in how it gets you to think. But I'll talk a little bit about why I think we need to adjust that as we go forward in the future. Another one, Lean Six Sigma. I don't know if there's any black belts in there. I'm a black belt, so I feel licensed to pick on it a little bit here. Yeah, I see a bunch of hands coming up. So Lean Six Sigma is a framework, been around for quite some time. In the financial industry, I would say probably the last 10 to 15 years, it's been much bigger. And the question I go back as I looked in retrospect over what we've been doing at Key is, has Lean Six Sigma helped us drive true transformation or significant step change in really pushing the boundaries of what we've been trying to achieve? Again, it's a great framework. As a leader, it's a framework I will always carry with me and I use almost daily. But are there some adjustments we need within Lean Six Sigma? The last framework, build versus buy. I've heard many CIOs and companies vacillate back and forth between build versus buy. I would say the last decade, roughly, Key started shifting from a build more to a buy company. A lot of that was around talent, trying to get full stack developers. The little thing you call translation. Here's what I want. Boy, that's what you delivered. I'm sure no one in here has ever seen that before and that problem. So we shifted to buy, really looking for simplicity, speed to market, ease of relying a little bit and leveraging subject matter expertise in concentrated companies. Competing with fintechs over the last 5 to 8 years. We've had to move faster. So some of that was either getting partnerships with those fintechs or with buying software solutions to allow us to have that speed and that ease. If we go forward, I'm going to talk about how I think these have helped us and in some ways how they haven't over the last decade. So I'm going to go with straight-through processing. Straight-through processing, again, from a concept, it's great. How do I open a checking account, hopefully in minutes in the future versus a day or two? How do I get mortgage down from industry average, probably 25, 28 days, to 7 days? That appraisal thing kind of still messes that up. So we still got to figure that out. But we can get down to a week. We've modeled it out. It's possible. The issue with straight-through processing, and I'll keep on the mortgage lens. If you look at mortgage and a client coming straight through, generally what we do as banks is we'll offer you points if you have direct deposit with us. So now you need a checking account. Maybe we want a credit card or you want a credit card coming in. Well, now we do what we call the swivel chair experience. I got to ask you a set of questions over here. Hold on, I'm going to ask you the same set of questions over here. and maybe a third time just for fun because you want 3 products and we love you. So that swivel chair experience is a bad client experience. It's a bad employee experience. It's clunky. It's convoluted. So while we made a mortgage experience that was really good, we didn't think horizontally. We just thought vertically. We didn't think about how the ecosystem from a process perspective works together. And generally, on average for us, a consumer coming in as a brand new consumer, if they're getting a mortgage, they're getting at least 1 or 2 other products at the same time, all the time. So that means 100% of the time, there's a clunky experience. That's not good. That's not what we want. So how do we think vertically in understanding what we want to drive, but how do we understand that horizontal ecosystem around it? And really make sure that that end-to-end process is holistic. So again, a very good concept, not one I would throw away, one I want to bring forward. I just want to tweak it a little bit in how we're thinking. Lean Six Sigma. For all the yellow belts, green belts, black belts, master black belts in the room. Again, core part of what I've always done. Where I look at Lean Six Sigma, there's 2 things I'll pick on. And I think some people have gotten through this with the core Lean Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma, you focus on the how. I always talk with my team. Mike, who's up here, has seen this, the art of the possible. When you walk in and look at a process and you map it, your art of the possible goes from here to here. You now are looking at constraints within that process, right? You're going to look at how do we move those blocks. Maybe we automate something, maybe we stop redundancy. I would rather go in with the mindset of what is it we're trying to do? Go back to the mortgage example. The client wants a mortgage. Well, what do they want? They want a mortgage fast, right? They want good rates. They probably want other products. How do I do that so things are funded very, very quickly, simply for the client? How do I gather data through aggregators so I'm not asking as many questions? Lo and behold, if they're already a key client somewhere, how do I get that data faster, and how do I decision their credit even faster than we can today? Right? So I want to go in, and I don't care, frankly, about how we do it today. I want to understand what is it we're trying to do so we can set up a process for tomorrow. And this always makes me think of Henry Ford. And some of you may know this quote. He always said, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So Henry Ford could have been the best horse breeder we've ever known. He could have created grain, maybe a worldwide veterinary services for horses. But he understood what the client really wanted. They wanted to get from point A to point B faster and more comfortably. Had nothing to do about the horse, the mode. Now we have the automobile. That's transformation. That's what I want to try to drive at Key. That's what I'm getting excited about and will build up to. That I think the technology is finally catching up to the concepts we've been driving. So if we focus on the what we really want to do versus how it's done today, we think about the ecosystem. Those 2 things together are game-changing in how we approach things. And we've been leveraging that and building that at scale over the last 5 years and having great successes. The last, as I brought up, build versus buy. I would say initially, we were faster to market. It helped us with costs. It helped us with that subject matter expertise, right? It hit those 3 things. We also wanted to simplify. We've heard from a couple people today, I think the number was 800, almost 900 systems on average. I can tell you we have just about 1,000 what we call TLAs, systems at Key, right? Does that sound simple to anybody? That is highly complex. And in a data-driven world, a highly regulated world, now you have to hire staff just to try to manage that. So in the end, going to buy, I think it taught us some things. I think we gained some speed for a period of years. I think we're now losing that speed. The engine's running out and the car's slowing down. How many people here, by raising their hands, keep the energy going, have over-customized the system you bought? Nobody? I'm just kidding. Lots of people raise their hand. So what did you just do? Your total cost of ownership went up. Your speed to market just slowed down. So again, everything we tried to do with buy is now reversed, and it's hurting us. The worst case, and this is not automation anywhere, but some vendors out there, I call it the hostage situation. They know they're in, their hooks are in, the costs go up every year. The value doesn't necessarily go up every year, but the cost goes up every year. We can't sustain that as businesses. So that's why I feel we need to shift from a buy to a build. And I think the technology, and I'll talk about hyperautomation a little bit here, is going to enable us to do that. Hyperautomation to me, and Agam said this earlier, to me I start with a base of reinvention. Again, not looking at the how today, but reinventing what we want to do. And then leveraging, there'll still always be core systems, but how do we use intelligent automation? How do we use low code, intelligent doc processing, machine learning? And the one I've been most excited about that's kind of hanging off there is AI or generative AI, and it's finally come to fruition. Those pieces are the glue that can help us with these ecosystems. How do we intelligently tie those 1,000 systems, maybe hopefully we get it down to 600, 800, but how do we tie those together to be more intelligent, to reduce hops, not only from a human standpoint, but from a technical standpoint? How do we keep data pure within the entire system so we don't have data integrity issues? And how do we do it, much like we've seen the examples up here, at speed? I truly believe we can do a mortgage in 7 days. I've modeled it, we've run it, we've done the numbers, it's possible. We need to get the architecture in there to support it. And that's where I'll kind of, whoop. Which way do we go? Uh-oh. Lost a slide there. So, change it up on me a little bit here, but I'll roll with it. So, read the tagline. That was supposed to come up last. But we need to be customer-driven, business-led, and tech-enabled. And what I mean by that is a few things. You've heard me talk about tech-enabled. No longer being a tech-led company. I've stood up in front of crowds and said KeyBank's a 200-year-old bank that's trying to be tech-driven, right, or tech-enabled. We do need to be tech-enabled, but we need to understand, have business and tech much more closely tomorrow than we do today. We need to understand the ecosystem. We need a president of a community bank or a commercial bank to understand all the operations and all the technology and how it works. It'll make our lives much easier. I think in the end, it's always kind of thrown over the wall in many cases, and we need to stop that and really understand that. The customer part, again, I go to Henry Ford, truly understanding what the client wants and how we get there. So to me, that's really important. Hear what the client wants, understand the business so you know how to translate that forward, and then how do we bring in that new tech layer? I think we are in a new age. I think the next 3 to 5 years are going to be amazing. That's what energizes me every day when I come to work. I get to work with a fabulous team, and we get to continually challenge ourselves and innovate. And I love having partners like Automation Anywhere, and right now we're working with Automation Anywhere and Google on GenAI, bringing the two together. AML was one of the things talked about. It's something we're all getting hit with. So it's something we're going to try to solve, and we think we can get another 20 to 30% efficiency in that area with our small pilot that we're going to do here. So I'll leave you with that. Please be energized, embrace tech, hear the client in what they're truly asking for, and have fun. Enjoy Imagine. Thank you.